Hello there, and thanks for joining us on this episode of the GrowVC Everyone Funding Startups podcast. I'm your host Marcus, and I'm here with Ramine Darabiha, an active entrepreneur on many fronts. Ramine is also the head coach for the bootcamp-like program, Summer of Startups, that empowers and encourages aspiring entrepreneurs, a program we are also proud to support. Ramine, would you tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So I'm mainly known for being the founder and CEO of MySites.com, which is the most trafficked startup in Finland currently. We have between 45 and 60 million hits per month in traffic. So we're one of the first cloud companies also. I'm a blogger also. I'm a pretty active blogger. So I blog on arcticstartup.com, which is the biggest blog in Finland, which I recently joined. I blog also on Nerdstalker and SiliconANGLE, which are two medium-sized US blogs. I've blogged a couple times on ReadWriteWeb, which is one of the biggest blogs in the world. My background is in gaming, originally, before MySites. So I've been involved in some of the largest gaming communities online ever. I've been involved quickly in gamershell.com, which is one of the largest video game sites in the world. I've been involved in I've created Gamikaze and Gamipedia, which were some of the largest independent gaming communities ever. And now I am the head coach of Summer of Startups.
When you're on a roll already, why don't you introduce Summer of Startups, what it's about and how the program works?
So Summer of Startups is a program that was started by, basically a bunch of students, I like to call them, but entrepreneurship societies here in Finland. So the top schools in Helsinki got together and decided to put up a program as the government, basically, a government entity called Tekes, which gives money to IT and research and development projects. Asked them if they could get funding to help students start a startup during summer. So they basically got the funding, and we got 60 applications of different teams from all over the world. Not just Finland, not just Helsinki. We actually got teams from China and a team from India, and the best school in India. We got teams with Canadian people and German people, etc. applying. And we picked the best 10. From them, what happens now is there's this program that runs for 2 months, and they receive, each team member, 750 euros per month.
Let's mention the teams quickly, or the selection process, actually.
Yes.
And you said that there were over 60 teams that applied. So yes. How were these narrowed down to 10, and what was the criteria like? Sure.
So the teams that we have here, you have to understand they're very, very early stage. This is not a program like Y Combinator, for example, where we will take a equity share in the company, equity stake in the company, or we won't be looking for necessarily proven, the best guys in the world, etc. The idea is really people are getting summer jobs usually, and they go and they sweep the table, etc., and get a crappy job, but they don't learn anything from it. It doesn't help anything. And if we can spend some of the government money that's been out there, not necessarily super helpful in the past, to create a new startup, we'll try to support anyone. Now, what we did is we looked for people who are very passionate and who are trying to do a startup, first of all, because we had applications for people who wanted to do consulting firms, etc., or, one guy wanted to open a kebab, so this wasn't super interesting for some of our startups. But we tried to look at people, is this an idea that can be turned into a growth business? Are the people there somewhat excited about, doing this on the long term and not just getting paid in the summer? So this is the first thing we looked into. We didn't care so much about background. We didn't care, obviously, about gender. We didn't care about the country where they're from. We really looked at, okay, are these individuals enthusiastic about this, and can they learn, and are they genuinely excited, and then can we work with them? That was the first step. Then we got a pitching competition happening with the top 20 applicants. What happened there is that we got a panel of judges. Christo Vaska, who was the founder of Alto Entrepreneurship Society, which is the leading entrepreneurship society. So this is an association run by students, which has helped the creation of a lot of startups here in the country. Was one of the judges. There was Will Cardwell, was an ex-VC and CEO of one of the big incubators in the country, and also Sami Hekinemi from TechS, which is the government agency which funds a lot of the R&D projects in the country, and me. And it was a traditional pitching competition. So it was obviously the first for them ever. But I think they did actually very, very well. They were very prepared. They had an idea of what was a slide deck and how to pitch in 2 minutes and try to convince investors, etc. And it's very interesting to see early guys like this.
Yeah, and I guess once you started the program, now you have the best of those 60 teams. So
hopefully, yes.
Yeah, hopefully. So what's the quality been like? Was it what you expected, or?
It's quite above what I expected, to be honest. The first time I heard about some of our startups, before they offered me to be a coach there, I thought we'd get 5 applications for a very simple reason. Finland, in summer, they go on holiday. Nothing happens here. Okay, it's very difficult to get things done. I see it myself with MySites. It's just very difficult to get meetings, etc. Not much is happening here. Finland is also a country where we have 3% of people interested in becoming entrepreneurs. So when you combine these facts, you really think you will not have applicants. We were proven completely wrong. We would have been happy with 10 applicants for the program, and it really helped anyone. The turnover has been really good, and the quality of the teams is also very good. We got 10 teams, so you can find the names and quick descriptions of them on summerofstartups.net. We've been very positively surprised about not just the quality of the ideas. I think a team like Living Canvas, for example, is very interesting. They do, some designers and architects have been doing these green walls, large green walls for offices and stuff and buildings, etc. They've been very expensive and difficult to maintain, etc. They're trying to make it so that people can buy them as a product for their home. So like you're a young couple and you just moved in and you buy this cool piece of like essentially furniture. You buy yourself a nice green wall and you feel cool about it. And this could be an interesting product. Of course, it might be difficult as a business, but if you can turn it into something people could buy at IKEA or something, this could be something nice. Is it really, really a startup case in the traditional sense? I don't know, but maybe. A team like InkSpark is pretty interesting. They want to do an open source alternative to Salesforce Chatter and Yammer. So essentially what they're saying is that these offerings are too expensive and they want to adopt a business model like WordPress or MySQL. Again, for an idea that's very, very young, I think that's very big ambition, and they've shown a lot of progress. So I think they're very interesting ideas, and there's a lot of them. Pamoja is a team that's doing biogas digesters and sells them for competitive prices in Africa. What they do is they get technology from Finland and Sweden and try to export it there. So it's pretty interesting, a new market too.
So obviously you mentioned 3 teams, and those are already from diversely different areas.
Yes.
So are there any trends in that sense? Are there any similarities between these 10 teams? Some industry that's represented above the others, or?
7 of the teams are web or mobile teams, which is obviously quite normal when you think of startups. I think they're starting to think a lot about feedback and about location. I think these are 2 things that even pretty much every team has been thinking about. How do we improve either the involvement of community and giving the feedback, etc. So we have 2 teams that are dealing with it very directly. For example, Buffet is a team that is doing a feedback platform for game developers and app developers. So if you've made a small Flash game or a small mobile app or something, and you obviously don't have the means to create a large feedback platform like you would on. They're focusing on gaming. So one example I had was the company Valve, which makes the game Half-Life. They released the game Half-Life Episode 2, and they realized that in one of the levels, people failed really often, and they gave up on the game. And they were able to monitor this because they would be able to monitor the latest save points you had in the game. And this gave feedback to the game developers, and they fixed the level, and the game sold